The Bears travel to Lambeau to take on the Pack for a Thursday night divisional showdown. Welcome to the show. Brock Page here, and I do random sports picks for fun. The Bears opened up as the 7-point dogs in this one. Opening number on the total was 45.5. Since the betting opened up, most of that early money's come pouring in on the Packers. Currently, Green Bay's laying 8 against the spread, with the total moving upward to an even 46. Currently, the Packers are the heavy money line favorites. And at the moment, just 35% of the money's on Chicago to get the job done. With all that early action in mind, I think we could see ourselves a spread getting as high as 9 points. But personally, I think we'll see it close right around that original opening number and possibly lower. Reason for that, the Bears had an excellent showing against Pittsburgh in Week 3, getting the job done for an outright win and cover against the Steelers. That game's going to put Chicago at 2-1 on the year against the spread, with a record of 2-1 against the number as the underdog. Equally as impressive, the Chicago team has covered 2 out of 3 against teams over 500. The Bears on the year have had some marquee covers over the likes of Pittsburgh and the Atlanta Falcons. Chicago is going up against a Green Bay team who's grinded out some tough outright victories on the year, but haven't been covering all that great thus far. The Green Bay Packers are just 1-2 against the number overall, and 0-1 covering against teams under 500. Even worse, this Green Bay team failed to cover a 7-point spread over the likes of the winless Cincinnati Bengals. All told, the case for the Bears can certainly be made. But before I go ahead and select a winner, let's take a look at the totals real quick. And when it comes to the scoring, Chicago games are 0-3 to the overs on the year. They're also averaging just 15 points of scoring per contest. Meanwhile, on the other side, Green Bay games were just 1-1 to the overs before yesterday's game as well. All told, the case for the under can certainly be made, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm in full disagreement with the betting public when it comes to this one. Give me the under 46 for this matchup. And when it comes to the number, this Chicago team has covered 2 of 3 games that kicked off at the current posted total. Meanwhile, on the other side, Green Bay is 0-1 against the number in that very same category. I'm going to once again disagree with the betting public when it comes to the points. Give me the Chicago Bears +8, keeping it close, with the Green Bay Packers winning it outright for some money line cash. All told, I have Chicago +8 with the under and the Pack winning it outright. Next game I have for you, it is going to be New Orleans versus Miami in another London game. Vegas opened up the betting in this one, a pick'em contest in Wembley, with the total at an even 50. Since the betting opened up, however, most of that early money came pouring in on the Saints to get the job done. Right now, the Saints are the 3-point favorites against the spread, with the total moving downward to 49.5. Currently, the Saints are the money line favorites to win, and at the moment, just 35% of the actions on the Fins to get the job done. I think we could see a closing number of about 3 points in this one. I can't imagine we'll see a flip of the lines unless something drastic occurs this week with the injury report. 3 points looks and feels just about right. That said, the favorites in this one have not been a great covering team thus far in the season. The Saints are just 1-2 against the spread overall and failed to cover over the likes of the Minnesota Vikings in Week 1. They're going up against a Miami squad who's a perfect 1-0 against the spread as the underdog. The Dolphins are also 1-0 against the number at the current posted total. All told, believe it or not, the Dolphins catching points in this spot here might present some excellent value. But before I go ahead and select a official winner in this one, let's go ahead and break down the scoring. And when it comes to the totals, the Dolphins are 0-2 to the overs in their last 2. Meanwhile, before yesterday's matchup with Carolina, the Saints were averaging just 19 points of scoring per game themselves. All told, the case for the under can certainly be made, and that's exactly what I'm going to do in this one. I'm in full agreement with the bettors in this game. I'm going to buy the hook and move the total back to its original opening number. Give me the under 50 points in this one. And when it comes to selecting a winner, a lot of time the betting public's early money action is heavily influenced by what these teams did yesterday. I think that's the case in this game. I can't imagine Miami's that bad, and I can't imagine the Saints are that good. I'm in full disagreement with the bettors when it comes to a winner. I'm going to go ahead and take the Miami Dolphins, catching 3 at Wembley and winning it outright for some money line cash. All told, I like Miami +3 and winning it outright with the under. Next matchup, it is going to be Buffalo at the Atlanta Falcons. The betting opened up with the Bills catching 9 on the spread with the total at an even 49. Since the betting opened up, however, once again the bettors are heavily influenced by what happened yesterday. It's still fresh in their minds. The majority of that early money came pouring in on the Bills to cover that 2-score margin. Right now, Buffalo's catching just 7.5 on the spread, with the total moving downward to 48.5 points. Currently, the Falcons are the heavy moneyline favorites to win it outright, and at the moment, 60% of the actions back on the Falcons to get the job done. With all that in mind, looks like that opening number of 9 points is pretty sharp and will most likely end up closing right around that figure. Having said all that, this Atlanta squad has been a decent covering team so far in the year. They're 2-1 overall against the number and 1-0 at home. Even better, the Falcons have covered 2 of 3 games as the official Vegas favorite. They're going up against the Bills team who's averaging just 16 points of scoring per game and scored just 3 points against the Panthers in Week 2. On a side note, 1 out of their 2 outright wins came at the expense of the hapless New York Jets in a single-digit victory. All told, the case for Atlanta can certainly be made, but before I go ahead and select an official winner, let's break down the total real quick. And when it comes to the scoring, Buffalo games were 0-2 to the overs before yesterday's contest with Denver. Meanwhile, very similar story on the other side, as Falcons games were just 1-1 to the overs before Week 3 themselves. In addition to all that, Buffalo's been giving up an average of just 12 points per contest. All told, the case for the under can certainly be made, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy the hook and move this one back to the opening number. I'm also in full agreement with the bettors. Give me the under 49 points in this one. And when it comes to selecting a winner, I think Atlanta's better by 2 scores in this one. They're also 1-0 against the number as the official home favorite. I'm going to go ahead and buy the hook and take Atlanta -7 and winning it outright for some moneyline cash. All told, I've got Atlanta and the under. Next contest I have for you, it is going to be Pittsburgh laying 2 on a hook at Baltimore with the total moving upward to 45.5. Currently, the Steelers are the slight moneyline favorites on the road, and at the moment, almost 70% of the actions on Pittsburgh to get the job done. I think that opening number is pretty sharp. We could see this one get as high as Pittsburgh 3.5, but I don't think you'll see Baltimore catching 4 points at any point during the week. That's unless, of course, something drastic comes out on the injury report this week. But regardless, I am looking for Baltimore to put forth a much better effort this week at home. They've been a decent covering team so far in the year, going 2-1 against the spread overall. They also covered 1 of 1 at home and 1 of 1 as the official Vegas underdog. They're going up against a Pittsburgh team who's a dismal 0-2 against the number on the road this year. They've also covered just 1 of 3 games overall, failing to cover against the likes of Chicago and Cleveland. All told, the case for the Ravens can certainly be made, but before I go ahead and pick a winner, let's break down the scoring real quick. And when it comes to the totals, Pittsburgh games haven't seen a whole lot of points as they are 0-3 to the overs going into Week 4. Meanwhile, very similar story on the other side, as 2 out of Baltimore's last 3 games went under the line themselves. All told, the case for the under can certainly be made, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy the hook in full disagreement with the betting public and take the under 46 in this one. And when it comes to selecting a winner, this Pittsburgh squad is a winless 0-2 against the spread as the official road favorite. Meanwhile, Baltimore is 1-0 against the number versus teams giving up less than 21 a game. I'm once again in full disagreement with the bettors on this one. I'm going to go ahead and buy the hook and take the underdog, Baltimore Ravens +3, and winning it outright for some moneyline cash. All told, I like the Ravens and the under. Next game I have for you, it is going to be Cincinnati at Cleveland. The betting opened up with the Bengals as the 2.5-point favorites with a total at an even 40 points. Since the betting opened up, however, we've seen ourselves a lot of money pouring in on the Bengals to get the job done, since he's now laying 3 on a hook with the total moving upward to 40.5 points. Currently, the Bengals are the moneyline favorites to win this one outright, and at the moment, just 27% of the actions on Cleveland to get the job done, so look for that line to move even further. All told, I think we'll most likely see a closing number between 4 or 5 in favor of the Bengals. And speaking of Cincinnati, they garnered themselves a quality cover yesterday at Lambeau, sending that one into overtime. The Cincinnati team is 1-0 against the number on the road for the year. They're also holding their opponents to 19 points scoring a game in regulation. They're going up against a Browns team who's just 1-2 overall against the number and averaging just 18 points of scoring on offense themselves. The winless Browns have failed to cover over the likes of the struggling Indianapolis Colts and Baltimore Ravens, respectively. All told, the case for Cincy can certainly be made, but before I select an official winner, let's go ahead and break down the total real quick. And when it comes to the scoring, both team games are 2-1 to the unders going into Week 4. Before yesterday's game at Lambeau, the Bengals had scored just 9 points of offense after Week 2. Similar story on the other side as well, as the Browns were averaging just 14 points of scoring per game before yesterday's contest at Indy. All told, the case for the under can certainly be made in this matchup, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to disagree with the bettors and purchase the hook on this one. Give me the under 41 for this divisional matchup. And when it comes to selecting a winner, I'm going to have to agree with the betting public when it comes to the number. Both teams showed some life in Week 3, but Cincy showed life against a much better opponent. I'm going to buy the hook and take the Bengals -3 and winning it outright for some money line cash. All told, I have the Bengals and the under. Next matchup I have for you, it is going to be the LA Rams at Dallas. The Rams opened up as the 8-point underdogs in this NFC matchup in Arlington. Since the betting opened up, much to my surprise, the majority of the money came pouring in on the Rams to get the job done. Currently, the LA Rams are now catching just 7 points on the spread in this one. Currently, we have no opening line on the total, as Dallas is playing in the Monday night game this evening. And obviously, the Cowboys will be the moneyline favorites to win this one outright. All right, so although 2-1 on the year, this Rams team has not been all that stellar when it comes to covering the number. LA is just 1-2 overall against the spread on the year with an 0-1 record at home. They're going up against a high-powered Dallas team who's 1-0 against the spread in the friendly confines. In addition to that, the Cowboys are 1-0 against the number as the official home favorite. All told, the case for Dallas can certainly be made in this one. But before I go ahead and select a winner, let's go ahead and break down the total real quick. And when it comes to the scoring, Los Angeles Rams games have been chock full of action, going 3-0 to the overs going into Week 4. Meanwhile, on the other side, Dallas games are just 1-1 to the overs in their 2 games themselves. In addition to all that, the Rams are averaging a rotund 36 points of scoring per game. All told, the case for the over can certainly be made. That said, we still have no posted total at the moment, so I'm going to predict a combined point total of 53 total combined points in this one. And when it comes to selecting a winner, I'm really looking for this Dallas team to get back on track and expose this Rams team. Keep in mind that LA's 2 victories came at the hands of the hapless Colts and 49ers, respectively. I like Dallas in the spot here. I'm going to disagree with the early money and take Dallas -7 and winning it outright by 2 scores. All told, I'm liking Dallas and a combined point total of 53. Next contest I have for you, it is going to be Tennessee at Houston. The betting opened up with the Titans as the 2.5-point favorites with the total at an even 44. Since the betting opened up, however, we've had a lot of believers in this Houston team. Once again, the early betting public is being heavily influenced by what happened yesterday. In this case, however, it doesn't make much sense to me because essentially they're being moved by a Houston loss. I mean, yes, they played New England very tough, but at the end of the day, as the youngsters would say, Houston took that L. Regardless, most of that early money came pouring in on the Texans to get the job done. Currently, Tennessee's now giving up just a point on the spread, with the total moving downward to 43.5. Currently, the Titans are the money line favorites to win it outright. And at the moment, just about 52% of the actions on the Titans to get it done, but essentially we have ourselves an even split on the money. Now, as far as today goes, don't look for any crazy drastic line movement in this one. Having said all that, it looks like this Tennessee ball club might just be for real after all. When it comes to the betting world, they've certainly been good for your bankroll. This Titans squad is currently 2-1 against the spread on the year, and they're a perfect 1-0 on the road. In addition to all that, Tennessee's covered 2 of 3 games as the official Vegas favorite. They're going up against a 1-2 Houston team who's failed to cover in their one and only home game on the year. All told, the case for the Titans can certainly be made, but before I go ahead and select a winner, let's go ahead and break down the scoring real quick. And when it comes to the totals, Tennessee games are 2-0 to the overs in their last 2. In those games, Tennessee's averaged 35 points of scoring per contest. Meanwhile, on the other side, Houston games are 1-1 to the overs in their last 2 themselves. All told, the case for the over can certainly be made, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm also going to buy the hook and fully disagree with the betting public on this one. Give me the over 43 points in this matchup. And when it comes to selecting a winner, Tennessee's covered 1 of 1 as the official road favorite and has covered over the likes of Seattle and Jacksonville. Meanwhile, Houston's won just 1 of 3 outright and failed to cover against the likes of Jacksonville themselves. With all that in mind, I'm going to once again disagree with the betting public on this one. Give me the Tennessee Titans -1 and winning it outright for some moneyline cash. All told, I like Tennessee and the over. All right, folks, I'm going to slide into my next and final game with analysis for the show. I'm talking about Carolina at New England. The Panthers opened up catching 9 points with the total at 47.5. Since the betting opened up, most of that early money's come pouring in on the Panthers to get the job done. Once again, we have ourselves a prime case of the bettors being heavily influenced by what happened just 24 short hours ago. Currently, Carolina is just +8 against the spread with the total moving upward to an even 48. Currently, the Patriots are the moneyline favorites to win it outright. And at the moment, a little over 50% of the action's on New England to get the job done. I think that opening number is pretty sharp. Will most likely end up with a closing number between 8 and 9 in my opinion. Having said all that, this New England team has bounced back to a 2-1 overall record after dropping the opener. And despite that close call yesterday, New England is statistically still winning by an average of 10 points in those 2 victories on the year. In addition to all that, the Patriots have a marquee cover over the New Orleans Saints, which was a 16-point victory overall. New England's going up against a Carolina team who's covered just 1 of 3 games overall in the year. They also failed to cover to the likes of the Saints and the Bills, respectively. All told, the case for New England can certainly be made. But before I go ahead and select an official winner, let's go ahead and take a look at the scoring real quick. And when it comes to the totals, Carolina games are just 1 and 2 to the overs going into Week 4. Meanwhile, the Panthers are averaging just 15 points of scoring per game. In addition to all that, the Panthers had given up just 6 points on defense for the year before yesterday's action. All told, the case for the under can certainly be made, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to disagree with the betting public on this one and take the under 48. And when it comes to selecting a winner, this Panthers team is coming fresh off a 21-point drubbing at the hands of the dysfunctional New Orleans Saints. It's going to be a tough one to recover from. I'm going to once again disagree with the bettors on this one. I like New England -8 and winning it outright. All told, I've got New England and the under. All right, folks, that is going to take me into my next and final pick for the show. It's my Instagram quick pick, so got to move. I'm talking about Jacksonville -3 at the New York Jets with the total at an even 39. Jacksonville is 2-0 against the spread on the road. The Jets have covered just 1 of 3 as the underdog. Give me the Jags -3 and winning it outright with the total going over. All right, folks, that is going to do it for me. But before I get out of here, I have to remind you that I'm not a sports betting expert, nor do I implore you to take any of my picks. A wise man once said, good ain't free, and free ain't good. For some reason, you decide to use the free information on this program. You're utilizing it at your own discretion. Most importantly, if you're betting any of these games, do it safe, do it responsibly, and most important, have fun. For Brock Page Productions, I'm Brock Page, and have yourself a positive day.